What's going on, everybody? This is AJ Capasso here from Coventry Circle Paranormal and Talking with the Source. I'm here with my good friend.
Robin from Huntaphobia Paranormal and Talking with the Source.
So today on Talking with the Source, we have two awesome guests. They run a podcast, they run their own paranormal groups. They have a lot to talk about. Just had a super awesome trip. I'm going to let them talk about that. But we just want to give a shout out to Parapost Network, the home of amazing paranormal podcast. If you guys haven't checked it out, go on Facebook. It's also an app that you can get on iOS and Android. So check that out as well. But it's Parapost Network Central, and it's on Facebook. Check it out. It has amazing podcasts. We also just want to give a shout out to the two guests that are here today, Bryan Laverty of Huntaphobia, and also Alex Anderson of Lex Paranormal. I can't wait to talk to him. I have so much to talk about with him. So let's bring him on, man.
Before you do,
Yeah,
also, shout out to FCD Ghostboxes, our
absolutely. Well,
sponsor,
absolutely.
and Mr. and Mrs. AAP.
Always.
Bam!
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. What's up,
And
guys?
here we
How are
are.
you?
Hey
How's it
guys.
going?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good, good. How you guys been?
Oh, amazing. Tired, amazing.
Awesome, awesome. So, Robin, you want to ask the first question? I'll let you go first if you want. I talk too much.
Well, a question that's been me and AJ have been having a good old chat about this, and I was wanting to ask both of you, Bryan and Lex. A lot of people, when they're doing videos, are way into their editing part of it, and I was going to edit mine, but I was told by a lot of my watchers that they actually think that leaving it raw like I do, they think it's better that way. I just want to know what you guys think about that.
Go ahead, Lex.
Um, the simple answer for that is enjoyment value of people watching the video. If you leave it raw, and between investigation tests, there's a lot of talking between each other. There's a lot of reviewing stuff. You're walking around. It's a lot of dead space in a video.
Yeah,
And I think personally for me, when I watch a video, if I'm watching a lot of dead air and a lot of nothing, I turn off. And that's probably why we do that's why editing is important. You edit to the key moments, even bits where nothing happens, you still put that in, but you edit it to remove all that dead weight that you don't need. There are a lot of investigations. There's a lot of paranormal investigation videos that I watch where they would probably be a lot bigger and a lot better if they did do the edits. Because otherwise, for the best part, some investigations you do about 6 to 8 hours of filming, and you get 10 seconds of evidence. No one's going to sit and watch an 8-hour video for that 10 seconds. You need to kind of just progress the story along a little bit through the edit without manipulating the evidence. That's the most important thing. You can pinpoint, edit to different tests, cut out all that middle bit where you're discussing what you're going to do and all your breaks and stuff. But it's just about the flow of enjoyment for the video and to make sure that people aren't turning off before the actual evidence is being shown.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I always look at it in a way where you and it's simple, and I was told this as well as what you said, Robin. Try to leave as raw as you possibly can. But again, I agree with what Lex said, but you have to have a starting point, and then you're building, and then you're coming back down. And it's kind of like riding a roller coaster ride. And that's kind of what you want your videos to do. Is you want it to all of a sudden go at you and then come back, and then go at you and then come back. And I think that really makes for a better video. I think like I've seen a lot of videos myself. I think one of the biggest issues that I find that a lot of people do in a lot of their videos is dead time. As Lex mentioned, they're putting in a lot of dead time that they don't need to put in. I think if you're doing a 4 or 5 hour investigation, your video should only be about 30 minutes long.
yeah.
Now, with saying that, if you've captured a lot of evidence during your video, obviously you want to show that kind of stuff, but then you might want to get into maybe a two-parter rather than a one-parter, you know? So I think there's a fine line. There really is a fine line in what when you're doing a video, and you got to be careful you don't cross that, because people will tune out really, really super quickly. There is a couple of people on YouTube that I don't, and me and Lex know who they are, but and there's a particular individual that, you know, who does something almost every time he puts up a video, something happens within the 4 to 6 minutes. Now, we all know that he's not legit. He's more of an entertainer than a paranormal investigator, as they're now saying. But he's smart. He's smart at the same way, because doing that, you're hooking in the viewer as well. And now, I do agree with Lex in a way. Don't fake your videos. We don't believe in the faking videos. It's no. I live by integrity, and I stand by that, and I will never compromise that. And for example, last year, me and Lex did a Through the Lens episode on betrayal and fakers, and I had an incident with somebody that I was working with that tried to fake the video, and I took the video down because I won't put the video up. And that video was actually supposed to go on Paraflixx as well. And I ended up having to call Natalie at Paraflixx and saying, listen, this is what's happening, because she was expecting that last video. And I told her, and she goes, I completely understand. And then even on top of that, she said, well, you know what? Can you work around it? I go, no. To me, the whole video was compromised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just want to touch on the editing part again with your question. Well, first of all, let me just add on to what Bryan said about the other person that we both know about who has this thing. I did a test once where when I was uploading videos, I put this person's videos on 5 different screens and different videos on each screen. I press play at the same time, and at the same time frame in all videos, something happens. So it's in 4 minutes, it's in 12 minutes, it's in 18 minutes. And it's a very clever strategy to use, because people switch off before anything happens. Like if I watch a video and nothing's happening for 5 minutes, there's a chance I'm going to turn the video off. So statistically, people are engaged between 18 to 22 minutes. If the video is interesting, if you're good on camera and you're putting out a good video, 18 to 22 minutes is probably your statistical standpoint. And like when people put out hour-long videos, like unless it's children watching them, they're not watching an hour-long video. They're skipping forward and stuff like that, or they're coming out of it completely. So you want to try and get into that time frame. But there's nothing wrong with doing part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. You don't want to.
Yeah, I've started doing that.
You don't want to go probably past 4. And like for me, I don't go past 3. 3 is kind of where I stop. I think a trilogy of a series or a trilogy of an investigation is pretty good. But when you go to 4, 5, 6, you're kind of milking it a bit. So again, that's why the edit's important. Condense it into those 18 to 22 minutes. Do it over 3 parts. You can fit everything in.
You'll know. Yeah, and I agree with that. And you'll notice with my videos on Paraflixx, they're not any longer than 22, 24 minutes long.
Yeah. And I can say this works because my videos are about 35 to 45 minutes long. And my engagement is between 18 and 25 minutes. So I'm losing. And bear in mind, the best parts of my investigations are usually at the end, because that's how the edit comes across, to put the bigger bits at the end. And if they're switching off at 18, 22 minutes, there's 10 minutes of my video they haven't watched. So I've learned from that. So, but it's good. But also in terms of not faking it, a good edit is a good thing. I've got a video on my channel, which is the Red Book series part 3, where literally nothing fucking happens. There is no evidence. Nothing happens. The video is 25 minutes long. It is one of my most engaged videos. And like with nothing happening. So with a decent, as long as you know how to edit and you're editing it in a way that flows properly and it's enjoyable to watch, you don't even have to have the evidence in there. I prove that. I will always upload a video. Even if I get nothing, I will always put the video up to show you that I got nothing. It's just how the edit just helps make that an enjoyment for everyone else watching.
Yeah. And yeah, just a little bit on top of that as well. There's nothing wrong once you've done your edit, once you've done your everything that you wanted to do, show a friend, show somebody that will watch it and and take a look at it to see, to see maybe they say, well, maybe you should do it this way instead of doing it that way. I know people are very stickler on when they're doing their own videos, but there's nothing wrong with getting a second opinion.
I send stuff to Bryan when videos. I send stuff to Bryan.
No.
Like, how's this? He's like, that's a good bit. All right, cool. Let's work it. And Bryan is the first one to tell me if my videos are good or not. Thankfully, they're pretty good, and he enjoys them. But Bryan gives me the same pointers. I think we're all in the game to help each other, and constructive criticism, despite it being criticism, is constructive. And the only thing that does, it makes you better. So definitely
You've got to have
people's
it.
opinion.
Yeah.
And
you know what? We're in an industry where criticism is
high.
pretty bad.
Right. Very high.
Yeah, but I know, but you know what though? I mean, Bryan, I'm always asking you about things like about
Yeah,
that. Like, dude,
for sure.
give me criticism. You're like, no, it's good. I'm like, no, seriously, tell me what's wrong. Like,
Well, no, what you sent me last night, that intro, that was good. It was good. There was nothing wrong with it. It's absolutely, it's great. I think, and this is what me and you talked about last night, AJ, was the intro. How long should an intro be? Me personally, I don't think an intro should go past 15 to 20 seconds.
I would say 20.
It's
20,
some
20 at
intros
most,
they're going on for like a minute, and it's like by that time the person's already tuned out.
If we talk about intros, let me just also point out, if you have an intro where your cast of your team is in the intro, as soon as that intro finishes, do not spend the next 10 minutes introducing members of your team to the camera. Your intro did that for you. So don't do it again. A lot of teams do this.
Lex, you're going down a path. Lex, you're going down a path you shouldn't be going down.
Hey, I'm not telling people. I'm just saying. Just don't. If your intro introduces people, which is the point of it, it introduces the show. Don't spend the next 10, 15 minutes introducing members of your team because you don't need it. So it all comes down to dead space. You get rid of that bit. You've saved 5 minutes where you could probably add something better. So the intro is a key tool because you introduce your show.
And it's true. Like I hate, like I'll be honest, I hate taking out stuff. I hate it because you spent 5 or 6 hours at the location, and you go, God, I don't want to take out that part, but really, I don't think the audience is going to like it. So it's hard. Editing's hard. I don't think people understand how tough it is because you're putting in all that time and effort. And then to come home to cut out 3/4 of it,
it's tough.
It's tough. It's tough.
And you got to watch every bit of every minute of each video, like whatever camera amounts that you have, and it's a long time, especially if you have it running the whole night. It's like, oh,
well, let's look at what's the Bryan, what's the hour count of the UK tour averagely between our two cameras? How much footage have we got?
Oh, I would say it's probably close to 90 hours.
90 hours of footage. And we've got to condense that into 20-minute videos. Like, how much are we going to take out?
And then on top of that, audio.
And audio.
Voice recorder.
So much stuff to put in,
Like, I got probably 50 hours of audio that I have to go through. Voice recorder stuff. There was one time where I left the audio going, and it's almost 4 hours.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that one.
I am not looking forward to it. I'll be honest. I'm looking forward to watching it, but I'm not looking forward to editing it. I'm not.
Yep.
So.
No, I don't think anyone ever really is about editing. Yeah, I mean, but I totally understand what you mean. That was a really good question, Robin, because that's something really important that I'm still trying to really hardly work on. I could do the filming thing, but the editing thing starts to get to me, and then I'm like, oh man, but I don't want to take this out. And then when I actually watch the video, I'm just mad because I want to go back and I want to take that out, this out. Because as watching as a viewer, even though I'm watching it as I'm editing it, it still isn't the same until I put it up and I start thinking as a third person point of view, like, oh man, no, wait, that's actually boring as heck. Take that out. So I get it. Someone's attention span is very, very small, like you said, Lex.
But if you edit well enough and you're good at editing, and the more you do it, the better you'll get. I learned that I started editing using phone stuff, and my videos are good videos, but the edits aren't great. But now I'm learning how to use new software thanks to Bryan buying me Sony Vegas. Buying me. Thanks to Bryan, because I bought another software. I'm now learning how to I'm now learning how to use that, and my videos will get better in time. Again, the first one's going to be probably scratchy, but as I go on, my videos are now going to be much better. But the better your editing skills are, everything you cut out, don't delete them, keep them. You can always come back and do a revisited video, and you can put that stuff in. You can say like, we don't have a video this week, so let's revisit when we went to this place. Here's some of the stuff that we didn't show you last time, and you can still make a banging video and show the evidence you've made. It's not wasted material. It's just you just got to store it for a better time. Eventually you'll get it all out. It's just a case, if you edit well enough, you can still make a decent video with the stuff you've cut later down the road.
I agree.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, no, that's really, never thought about that. That's actually really good.
My editor, Zach, or one of them, he looks at it. He doesn't look at it as paranormal. Yeah, which kind of bothers me. But at the same time, he's looking at it like if he was a viewer watching a TV show. Yeah. And that's really what you need to do don't think about it as your video. Think about it as you being the viewer. Is this something you'd want to watch?
I mean, hell, watch a video. Once you upload a video, sit there and watch it. And when you decide to get bored and turn it off to something else, just note down how long it took you to get to that point where you're contemplating turning it off. Because a lot of people blame, but I don't like watching myself on camera. Well, no, that's bullshit. You just got bored watching your own video. So I don't like watching myself on camera, but I do watch every single one of my videos to see how it comes out. And, I've got a notebook of times where I'm like, okay, this video, it took me this long to kind of maybe want to switch out. Here's what I could have done better. And I'm taking that notebook, I then take forward the videos I'm editing now for the tour videos. I have a notebook of 10 investigations I've already done where I've taught myself what not to do in these videos. So you learn from the past to make a better future.
Absolutely. I like watching myself because it not because I like watching myself. I like watching myself so I can try to be better. I can be better. Like when I've done some TV shows, when I've been doing, some acting gigs, I watch it not because I like looking at myself. I do them because I watch it because I can see if I can do something better. If I could have performed it better, or maybe I should have done it this way. If I get this opportunity, I can try it that way, and that's why I like watching them. So, yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's such great advice. I appreciate you guys talking about that because that is very important. And it's like you said, it's not easy to cut down all those hours into a 20-minute segment. But what you just said about how you can revisit those, I never didn't even cross my mind. So I appreciate that, that tip right there. But for our viewers, I want to start off first, Bryan, with you. Tell us please about a little bit about yourself and how basically you got into the paranormal.
Where to begin? Well, it all started when I was a kid. When I was about 8 or 9, I could definitely see things other kids couldn't see, and that's where it really all began for me. And as I got a little bit older in my teenage years, I had my very first experience on being touched. I was at a friend's home, and his mother just passed away, and we were sitting downstairs in his bedroom, and all of a sudden I felt something touch my wrist. And then I felt like a head leaning on my shoulder. Now, I know most of the time that people that experience being touched by something spirit-wise, it's usually a cold feeling. This was a very warm feeling. And during that time of me being touched, I told him something's touching me, and he thought I was crazy. But then I looked to my right, and there was an actual indent in the bed, like somebody was sitting beside me. And what's weird about all of that is his grandmother used to do that when she was alive. So we figured it was his grandmother saying goodbye, and it lasted for about 30 seconds, and then it was gone. And as I got a little bit older, I really tried to figure out who I was or what I could do. And I realized pretty well around that time. My abilities were, I could see them like as a black shadow, and then as a something more on the negative demonic side, which I don't like using. But on the demonic side, it's more of a black translucent smoke that moves around very, very slowly. And that's what I see. But I can't hear them, and I can't see facial features. But I know by gut if it's a woman or a male. But what I found very interesting was, and maybe I'll get into a little bit of that after, but it was probably about 9 or 10 years ago where I had my very first experience on a paranormal investigation. I didn't join, but I met up with a local group that were going around doing investigations. And my very first experience, I was thrown right into the fire. And I like that expression. Somebody used that expression with me, and I like that expression because it's true. It's really, really true. I as soon as I started walking up to the house, I knew what I was going to be experiencing right away because I could feel it. And as soon as I walked in, right to the left, there it was. It was floating around the room like it owned the room. And this family was having a lot of problems. A lot of things were being thrown. Kids were being scratched. Anything that you can think of a poltergeist kind of type of thing, that's what was going on. There was no like TV, like a little girl walking up to a TV and touching it and then get sucked in. Nothing like that. But you know what I'm talking about, poltergeist, right? So so it was just a really, really bad experience. For my very first one, but it was a good experience because I learned a lot when I did my very first investigation. But I always tell this part of the story because I think it's actually quite funny. About 20 minutes into the investigation, I looked at one of the guys and I said, "Listen, how long do we stay here for?" Because at this point, I had no interest in being there whatsoever. Like, I'm the type of person, I know there's a lot of paranormal investigators out there that, you know, if they're encountering something like as negative as that, they want to stick around but me, I'm the complete opposite. I don't want to be around because I know what they can do. And when I was about 19, 18 years old, I had my very first experience with something demonic. And my friend, it was a house that was down the street from us. It was a very popular house that people go to party. And I knew something bad was in that house. I just knew it. I could just drive by it or walk by it or whatever and know something was wrong with that house. And so I was finally convinced to go to that house, and I was there for literally 10 minutes and I left. And then after I left, a buddy of mine was severely scratched. And it was so deep, it was bleeding. Well, he was sick for about 3 weeks after that, and he lost about 35 pounds. Oh, and he was already a skinny guy. Eventually, he got over it. Eventually, whatever it was went away. But so about 10 years ago, I did that investigation, and that's where I really, really started getting hooked on it. Like, I was always interested in investigations, but I just never did it. Yeah. I knew what I can see. I had the type of family that didn't believe in that stuff. They thought people were crazy that could see stuff. So I kept it quiet for a very, very long time. Yeah. And again, it was about 9 or 10 years ago when I first got into my very first investigation. And that's where it all started.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy how time has changed, and now it's so like out in the open. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, talk about it now, and no one sounds like, you know.
Yeah, if you wanted to get in any kind of information on spirits and ghosts, you had to go to the library. And to be perfectly honest, there wasn't much in the library about that. So this was before the internet. And you know, so you either learn by, you know, reading a book or two, or just listening to other people that were doing it. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. So, Lex, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So others, for anyone who can't tell by the inflection on the way I talk, I'm from England. So
yeah, Yeah, I made that mistake because listen, I don't want to talk about it. I'm stupid.
Hey Lex, how was it when you went to the UK? Well, pretty good. I've lived here for 29 years.
Yeah.
No,
It's all good, man. It's all good. We're all having a little bit of fun.
Yeah. Well, so I'm a British paranormal investigator, but I'm also very new at this. I think September 2019 is when my first video went up. And that's when I met Bryan on Twitter for the first time. But I would say I was probably mostly a believer for the majority of my adult life. But in my younger life, I was brought up in a religious way. So I wasn't allowed to kind of believe in it. And so I never did. It never really crossed my mind. So I was friends with people that were doing urban explorations and taking photos of abandoned buildings and stuff. And one day I was 17, so it's 12 years ago. And I got a message like, "Oh, there's a group of us going to this asylum. Do you want to come with us?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not? I'll come take some cool photos. It'd be cool." And where this one is, it's in West Park, and it was up the hill from a theme park called Chessington. So that's probably you might have heard of it in the States. I'm not sure, but it's a big theme park. So it was a weird place for an insane asylum to be because you could look down the hill and you see the theme park. It was roller coasters and stuff. It was cool. So we're in there and we're knocking about, and we're probably there for about 3 hours. And the first bit we were in, we could only do this certain block because security was at the other end because they were demolishing it bit by bit. So we knew we couldn't do the whole building. So we stayed at this top end. And after a few photos and walk around, we heard a piano playing. And we tried, obviously me not believing in anything. I was like, well, it must be one of the security guys playing on a piano in here. So when we find it, it'll be fine. And then we found a piano in a kid's ward, and the piano was smashed to pieces and it wouldn't work. Like you could press any key and nothing was happening. But I put that down to, I was like, well, there must be another one in a different part of the building. That's all we heard. It's nothing crazy. Then we got to a little bit later on in the day, and there was children laughing in the kids' ward, which there weren't kids around. There was just us and the security guys. So that was a weird moment. I couldn't really explain it, but I just chose to ignore it. And then, but the kids' ward was the weird thing. So Bryan, I've told Bryan this before. I don't really have a sense of paranormal stuff. I don't feel something and then, like Bryan sees them. I don't have any of that. I'm just evidence-based. That's it. And when we was in this kids' ward, I was hit by this like massive wave of emotion, and I couldn't ever explain it. It was just a weird thing. I felt sad, I felt hurt, felt pain. So I had to leave the room. So I separated from the group. So they were going forward towards the exit. I stayed behind. And during this bit, I'd picked up a letter off the floor and I'd read the letter from 1842. And it was about a letter to the family of a patient who had died. So I saw the letter and I was like, well, probably a good bet to put this back. I don't want to take it with me. So I went back through the children's ward, put the letter back. So then I decided to go back and meet with the rest of the guys. They're waiting for me outside. And as I'm walking through, hi, Dan. As I'm walking through, the windows are higher than me, kind of like church window height. So they're a bit high off the ground. And I could just hear the tapping on the window, like nails on a window. So in my head, I was like, that's security. They found us. Don't turn around. Just keep going. As long as I pretend not to have heard them, I'll be fine. So, and it's following me as I'm walking through this corridor. Just every window is getting tapped on as we're going through. And I'm just ignoring it. I'm ignoring it. And I'm getting a bit more scared. And then there's like this massive crash behind me, like a big bang, like someone had jumped off of something. For some reason, I chose to turn around. I'm assuming because I thought I was about to get grabbed by a security guard, so I wanted to turn. And I turned around, and there was a black cloud about 3 feet in front of me. And about 6'2" in that cloud is a pair of red and yellow eyes just staring at me. But there's no head, there's no body. It was eyes in smoke. And I've never ran further away from anything I've ever had in my life. And then that was my first big thing. And I spent 10 years researching the paranormal before I decided to do it myself and go investigate it. It shook
I
me.
love this story. I love this story. I just every time he tells it, I just picture him. I can just picture him turning around and taking off.
And like when I say I've never ran that hard, like when I ran out of the building, I ran past my friends who I didn't tell what I saw for about 8 years. I just ran past them, jumped over the security fence, straight down the hill to Chessington, and I just sat against their security fence for ages. And I didn't tell them what I saw. I was just like, I don't want to talk about it. I want to go home.
Like,
And because that threw my faith into the wind. I was like, I've physically seen something.
yeah. No, yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, it's crazy. I mean, I've had an experience with that smoke type thing. Not that huge. I mean, that would scare the, daylights out of me, but I watched the, like it looked like smoke. There's no other way you can describe it. I mean, it's like a black smoking mass. And I watched my cat chase it around my bed, and I had a lot of weird experiences like that with that smoke, but I felt negative like that in that moment as well. So I know I didn't see no eyes, thank God, because if I did, I would have been out of that house. Like,
Legit, I think even to this day, it is still the only thing I've ever really been afraid of, like that much fear. And I'm not afraid of anything. I don't jump at weird noises in scary buildings. I don't run away from screams inside buildings. In fact, I run towards them now. But back then, first of all, couldn't explain what I was looking at. Secondly, my whole body felt like I was on fire, and I was like, "This is terrifying." And the whole fact that I was religious, so my entire faith just went out the fucking window at this point. I was like, I don't know what to believe. I was like, whoa. So yeah,
that's great.
And so I'm still looking to find out what it is. I have spoken to a few people who I've met during this year of me doing this, and they've got some assumptions of what it could and can't be. So I'm still researching that, and it's a shame they knocked the building down and built residential, because I would have gone back to see if it's still. But yeah, that was my experience.
I think personally, it was one of two things. It was the shadow man or the jinn that he encountered. Am I right? Am I far off? Am I far off?
No, I don't think so. And I think if anyone wants a visual example of what it means to be staring into this thing, the best example I've got is Star Wars. If you look at Darth Maul's eyes in Phantom Menace, Photoshop his eyes just into a black 7-foot fucking figure of smoke, and that's what I was looking at. Like the best description of the eyes, it's Darth Maul's eyes, essentially. Like that's how vibrant the red and the yellows were, but they were huge, they were big. So
now most people would have said, okay, well, I'm never dealing with this again. Lex is the complete opposite and got right into it, and now he's like doing what he's doing now.
I spent 9.5 years watching every paranormal YouTube video I could get. I watched every true documentary on paranormal stuff. I went spending money on stuff so I could look at how the equipment works. I watched all the TV shows, and I was watching them so I could learn how to debunk it, because that's an important thing. You need to know what causes this stuff. So I was like, I did a lot of research before I decided to go and actually buy a camera and do it. So 9.5 years of homework, and now I do it.
Listen, that was one of the, I mean, that's a crazy experience, like out of nowhere. But I tell you what, the last thing you just said was so important. I mean, the amount of research that you did before you even picked up a camera and started doing it. I mean, how to debunk it too and stuff like that. I don't think people really know, like how important that is, because there's a lot of people that just get into it and just say, oh yeah, I'm a paranormal.
Yeah, we see it over here, Lex, don't we, with a lot of the YouTube ones as well, is people will just go and buy a camera, pick it up, out they go, and every little thing that happens, it's paranormal. Every little noise, a building creaks, what it's like during the day if it's warm, they expand and stuff, and then when it cools down at night, and the creaking stuff, and you get that no matter where you go, especially if somewhere's falling down, bits of rock and stuff will just fall randomly anyway. But over here, there's a lot of people on YouTube, and it's paranormal. It's paranormal. That's what I get.
There's a lot of stuff that people do keep using. I've always said it. I don't believe in orbs. I think orbs are fiction. Orbs are caused by 100 different things on a camera lens. So if anyone presents evidence to me with orbs, I automatically dismiss the video. There's loads. I taught myself how to do loads of stuff. One of the really important things I learned how to do was I learned how to find out if people are using masking techniques on videos. and how you can spot them in videos. So a lot of people do this where they film a room and stuff is moving in the room and you can't see anything moving it. But if you strip it back, you can actually see that they've just filmed 2 videos and they've masked half of the screen with the other one. And there are really easy key pointers to find it, especially with light. Light is a faker's best friend, worst enemy. Sorry, because you can't trick light on a video as easy as people think. So when you make the edit, you can always see where the light just dims or it brightens. Or so I taught myself how to do everything before I decided to become an investigator, because I know that someone's going to question the integrity of my video at some point. I know there's going to be a comment. And, you know, I welcome them. If people want to debunk my videos, that's fine. But I've also said that if you're in the UK, I will invite you to come and meet me in a coffee shop with my computer. I will bring the SD card and you can watch the whole 9 hours of footage raw to find out where that thing is you think I was faking it. So I've made no secret on the thing that I'm very open about it. I have a really big thing against people who fake videos.
Yeah, so have I.
I have a big respect for this field, and faking it is it diminishes what we do. So I'm more than happy to discuss my videos with absolutely anybody.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's awesome. I've had a few comments on TikTok as well. People saying that you're faking. I said, listen, send me your email address and I'll send you the full footage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you tell me if I'm faking it or not. So
it's because I find if you catch something and nobody else has caught that, because you know, I spoke to AJ about this a lot of times. Lex, again, you'll know being over here, and it's probably the same in the US and in Canada. But over here, it's competition, and I don't like that. You know, there's not one person that, you know, if Lex goes out and does an investigation and he captures something, you know, and I see it, and I'll be the first one to say, look, well done, mate. You know what I mean? You've got something there that nobody else has, or that very few people have. But over here, it's so much competition that it's like people will say, well, no, that's fake, and then they'll go out and try and do something like that and catch something like that, but then expect you to believe it.
Mm.
What's going on with the New Jersey channel?
I was just starting to laugh about
okay, buddy, we see that you have a YouTube channel. It's all good.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what I have. I just watch it laughing. I'm watching your face and I start cracking up. I was watching
because you know what I'm thinking, right? I was going, what is going on?
I know exactly
how many?
That's why I'm trying not to laugh. But oh man, New Jersey channel.
We see you, NJ. We see you. We got you.
Yeah, you got me. New Jersey channel. What's going on, my friend? We were just laughing. It was a funny joke that we had. But anyway, so Lex, what I wanted to ask you, man, was being over in the UK, and I always ask Robin this. You know, I know he always tells me how much he just wants to come to America and all the places over here and stuff, but I always want to go over there because of like the history and the energy and. Tell me just a little bit, like, what is it like over there when you're investigating these places, like the energy wise and being in these places that are, you know, what you experience in places that are extremely haunted?
I would, and I hope since Brian's visit, I think he can corroborate this. It's unlike anywhere else in the world. The energy is completely different. I think it's weird here. I've never come across something that I'm afraid of since that first time. I've never investigated a building where I feel like I'm in danger, and I've never felt a demonic energy. Hopefully one day I will. I do want to get it one time. Same way like I'd like to get scratched one time, because it's a rite of passage, really. But I've never felt that. I think the energy here is really different in terms of the type of hauntings we have. It's a lot of lost souls rather than entities and poltergeists. I think a lot of people are very quick to attach these labels onto a haunting. But here, it's a lot of family. It's a lot of singularity and events. One of the places that me and Brian went to was in my home, in my town of Milton Keynes. There was a windmill where we actually found that the woman who died in the windmill, her dad who owned it, and the 2 lovers who killed one another were all there looking after it together. They're just all there. They accept the fact that this is what they're here for. And
Wow.
That's something I don't see. Now, this may happen everywhere else. I'm yet to see it on people's videos. It's different, but I think one of the biggest identifiers of history here is being a central force in World War I and II, where Britain won the wars, but we took a huge death toll and loss to do so, as well as everyone else did. And the sites that we have to commemorate that, and the buildings that we have, the memorial stuff we have, there are shops that are dedicated to the history of this stuff, and a lot of those items carry connections. And I think that's something that separates us from the world in the type of energy that we have. I think a lot of the spirits that we get are brought into these places just by they're bringing soldiers' uniforms in, or someone's family has kept the medal from one of these soldiers, and it's just stuff like that. I feel like in the UK mainly, I don't think we have that much evil here. I think it's just a huge loss of life due to every war effort we've been a part of, regardless if that's when we attacked America, whether if that's when we conquered the rest of Europe or whatever. England has always had this big history of being the empire of the world, and I think our spirits really tell that story.
Yeah,
I
no,
agree. There's so much more history there than any place in the world, to be honest.
I was just gonna Yeah, I was just Brian, like for you being I'm not saying an outsider, but you don't live there, so I'll say
Yeah.
outsider. What was it like being over there for you? You know what I mean?
You know what? Lex is so dead on when it comes, no pun intended. As soon as I stepped off the plane, you could feel the difference than it is in North America right away. And I was experiencing stuff on these investigations, and Lex can validate this, that I was now seeing faces. I was hearing them. I was doing everything that I'm unable to do here.
Wow.
It was
You even said
completely
it.
different. Yeah.
You said it. I think at one point, maybe midway through the tour, you said to the group we're with, you're just like, I don't know what it is about the UK, but everything that my gifts are exponentially heightened over here, and there's no reason for it.
Yeah. Well, and I've told the story a few times. Fort Woodley was probably my biggest eye-opening of all the places, because in order to get into Fort Woodley, you have to go through these gates. And I can't recall if it was Joanna that I was standing beside, or it might have been Sarah. But as soon as I entered those gates, it was like 600 spirits came like all over me.
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like. I felt like I was being pulled in every single direction, and all these words were coming to me and that I couldn't understand. And that to me was like, I wanted to crunch in a little ball and roll away. I wanted to get out of there. But it was our last investigation on the tour. And again, the energy is completely different over there than any place in the world. And I think a lot of it is what Lex said, the rich history of the place is like, I think there was one place where we were in, and it dates all the way back from the 16th century.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
And it's like you're standing in this place, you're going, oh my God, can you imagine how many people have, and I'm sorry to say this, how many people have died here?
Yeah.
And how many people have gone through here, and the tragedies and the and all those different things. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's like everything was changing. And I've told this story once already, and I think I told it to Lex as well. I was standing outside my sister's house, and we were done all our investigations, and I'd never seen this before. And I was standing outside, and all of a sudden I saw it was something about this big, and it looked like a worm.
Yeah.
And it was floating around my legs, and it went right into my knee. And I later found out that is called a parasitic entity that I was experiencing at that moment.
Oh.
And it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
I will say it's not a good thing, but it's like stuff like that I was seeing that I'd never seen before. And it's crazy. And the UK was an amazing place, and it's something that I'm gonna obviously remember the rest of my life, but I will be definitely going back for sure.
I think another cool thing that people, I don't think people see it a lot of when you do investigations in America or some other parts of the world, is the amount of foreign languages we got coming through. We were actually, I think it was at Don Styler's, and we thought we heard Russian. So we all started saying, we started Googling how to say words in Russian.
Yeah.
And we actually got a response in Russian on the spirit box. So like,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
again, the amount of people that we have here, how many have been here, everyone that we've conquered, it's no surprise that we have like these bleed effects of foreign languages coming through. And I think that was a very important piece of evidence to catch, because a lot of people don't. I see it asked a lot on videos, like, why is it always speaking English? And I was like, well, it's not. We proved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I did a mansion over here, and I caught a voice. Well, say I caught it in earshot. It didn't come out on the camera, but I turned to my mother-in-law, who's on my team. She's my skeptic, actually. And I turned to her and I said to her, "Did you hear that?" And she said, "No." And I said, "There's a woman's voice has just spoke there." I says, "And it sounds like it's either Russian or Ukrainian. It sounds, it's like a really far Eastern European."
Yeah.
And she says, no, I didn't hear it. And I was like, right, well, I'm surprised you didn't, because it was quite loud. But obviously, again, she didn't. But as we were walking around that house, she happened to find a couple of letters lying, and she lifted it, and it was a woman's name, and the surname was like either Russian or Ukrainian. And I was like, well, that would explain. And people will say, oh, well, you'll get the, well, you've walked around that house before the investigation and you've seen that. That's not how it works. I mean, when I'm doing mine and I get somewhere, I will do a quick walk around, but I'm literally, in that room, just all I'm doing is checking for like homeless or anybody that shouldn't be there. I don't I don't even go into the rooms. I'll walk down the main corridor and I'll just glance in, and then come out and I'll say to them, right, we're clear, and then we'll go in and we'll do the investigation.
Walk arounds are important. You need to know, if you're going to do a lights out, you need to know where you're walking, and the best way to do that is to walk around it at the beginning and find out where you are. But no, it's weird. It's not something you see a lot of in investigations, is foreign languages, and I'm glad that we caught it, because it's definitely happens. I think people just cut it out of videos because they can't translate it, which I fully understand.
Yeah.
You don't want to make second guesses, but I think sometimes it is important to leave those bits in, because people doubt spirit boxes and stuff all the time, because the best way to know if it's always radio is if everything you get is always in English. And I'm like, but that may be true, but explain to me how I'm getting these words in Russian then.
Yeah.
And swear words too.
Swear words too, yeah.
I've never been able to figure out. Somebody said, well, the SB7 is not true because you're getting mostly radio. Well, I don't know any radio station until I was told to F off. You're telling me that they're saying F off on the radio station? I don't think so.
At 8:30 p.m. in the UK.
No, not gonna.
The history part, though, I will say this, Lex, do you agree with you on it? The history part over here is phenomenal on some of it. Like, I don't know if have you ever been Pendle Hill?
No, but I am planning on going there soon.
Well, I've done it a couple of times. Pendle, the whole town around Pendle and all, because it's all rich in history. And even Lancaster Castle is another good one for it, because they were actually tried there, the witches. But
so
I did Pendle Hill a couple of times, and I also did a pub in the outskirts of Manchester that they were said to have frequented. It was actually supposed to be that old, and there was actually carvings in the woodwork in the window frames that were actually supposed to be witch carvings. And whether it was the Pendle witches or whether it was other witches, but this was definitely supposed to be done by witches. And I did say to AJ, my mother-in-law, she's the biggest skeptic going, although she believes in it, something has to come up and basically slap her before she'll actually say there's something there. She'll debunk more of my stuff than I will. But in this investigation, another woman who was with us was what we thought taken over. But obviously, we believed it because we seen how she was. But other people would say, well, no, that's not true. But then my mother-in-law was completely gone as well. We had to take her out. She was we were in front of her like that, and she wasn't responding. And that's not her because, like I say, she'll completely debunk it. So the history, get into these places where there is there's been witchcraft or there's been this, that, and the other. It doesn't just evaporate.
No. So Pendle Hill is actually interesting, and the reason I'm going there is to prove that there's nothing there. I did a case study on it, and so I've got another series coming out on YouTube called Lex Paranormal's Case Files, where I'm talking about these big places before I go there. And I've read probably 300 to 400 testimonies from people talking about Pendle Hill and their experiences, and cross-referencing the evidence it's very inconsistent. So I'm actually going there to debunk the whole place. So I'd love it if you get to join me when I go there.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the first time I went to Pendle Hill, I didn't know that much. It was basically at the start of my journey. I didn't know that much about it. I'd seen Most Haunted had done it, and that was all I'd seen, and I didn't know much about it. When I didn't read up on it or nothing, when I got there, and a couple of names came to me, and I happened to mention to my partner and my mother-in-law, and they were like, right. So they were obviously on their phones and stuff, and they're the name of some of the witches, and it's like, I didn't know that because I hadn't researched on it. Now, obviously, people will say, yeah, you have, yeah. I hadn't researched on it, so that's when I started getting intrigued in, because I thought, I'm given, first names and last names of these supposed witches that I didn't even know of, only because I was hearing them in my head. And then not only that, but I started getting like visions of them and things that they were doing and stuff. And it was like, why am I seeing this? And there was a little graveyard it's just outside of Blackpool here, and it's a little church with a little graveyard, and there's like woods beside it with a walkway through. And I remember I went in there one night, again when my team went in, and there was a woman standing in there, and I thought this was really, really weird. And she was standing in among the trees, and I felt this overwhelming sense that I had to go towards her. And she was standing there, and nobody else obviously could see her. And she gave me her name and this whole history of her life when she was alive. So I obviously come back out and I told all them what happened and stuff like that, and it was playing in my mind, and to the extent and the point where I felt I had to go back to that wooded area again because I felt that it wasn't all told. So a couple of weeks later, I went back, and the same woman was standing in the same place. So I asked her, and she gave me a completely different name and a completely different history, but it was the same woman. So I come out, and I was thinking, then I was even more confused. I was like, I don't know what this is. So a few weeks later, again, I thought, I've got to go back. This is doing my head in. So I went back, came across the same woman yet again, and she gave me a third different name. The thing is, and the third different history, the thing is, the third name she gave me was the name of one of the Pendle witches.
See, the thing with that though is I could probably give you 8 names now, and I could probably get 4 witches out of it.
Yeah.
Without being connected to it. So the Pendle Witches is a fun story. I would look forward to talking to you more about this because I'm debunking everywhere that Most Haunted did for season 5 and 6 of my channel. So I'll be going to every location they ever did. So I'd love it if there's any around you that they did, I'll do it with you. Pendle Hill, there's a lot of inconsistencies, especially with the locals. So I'll talk to you more about that closer to the time. But it's a very interesting place. I just don't personally. I think it's horse shit, the whole place. So hopefully I'm wrong. I hope I'm
no
wrong.
filter. That's what I love about Lex. No filter.
I hope I'm wrong.
Like I say, it could possibly be.
Yeah.
All you have to do is you could do in 10 minutes of me looking it up. I found so many things that were false that I think people are using it. I think when the witches did die there, I'm not disputing that. I dispute a lot of the claims about it that teams have done. And I know some teams that have been there that aren't credible. And the fact that Most Haunted went there, who are also not credible. So until a credible source goes there, I don't believe in it. And by that, I mean me. I need to go and see I need to go there and experience it. So I'm more than happy to have you and your team come out with me, though, because it would be really cool for us both.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's when a place is hyped up by a celebrity status, the chances are it's not real. And there's a lot there. So, but this is what the game is, right? This is what we're doing it for, to prove that it is or isn't.
Absolutely.
And I look forward to it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, listen,
My apologies for swearing, by the way.
No, dude, listen, you're allowed to do whatever you like, bro. Like, I completely agree with you 100%. And listen, I'd rather you be yourself than try to be anybody else, because that's how I like it, you know? But what I want to do is, Brian, do you mind pulling up some of these clips for us?
Yeah,
from
sure.
the UK? So these are never. Go ahead, tell them about it.
So basically, I got 4 clips. I edited last night, and for the show, and so it's which one you want to do first. Let me share my screen first.
Well, I would say, can we do the one from 40s? Can we do that one last?
Okay.
Because that's the best one.
Do. That I can do. And let's see here. Let me do the. Oh, wait a minute. I need to do this. Tire stream. Yes. Okay.
I hope you're ready for these clips, guys, because one of them is fucking phenomenal.
I'm excited.
Oh.
So what I'm going to do first, let's do the, you know what? We might as well go for the gusto here and do the mausoleum first.
Yeah, cool.
So you talk about the story while I'm getting this already, Lex.
Okay, so the mausoleum was just outside of, is it Portsmouth or Southampton? Somewhere, I think it's near Havant. And we went, and the mausoleum's cool. It was built, there's a couple, I can't remember their names off the top of my head, but there's a couple. They built the mausoleum for the husband, but when he died, he was buried somewhere else. The wife actually ended up living 30 years later than that, which is really cool. But before she died, she had him moved over to the mausoleum. And annoyingly, the lead-based coffin was too big to fit through the door. So they're actually both buried outside the mausoleum. There's no one in the mausoleum. So that's a really weird turn of events. So we went to investigate it. And what we found with Catballs, that both of them are still there. They're both looking after each other. And we literally, it was probably not eye-opening, but it was definitely a really beautiful moment that we caught on camera with the questioning, using the light up Catballs and stuff like that. And the K2s. So
yeah, and I think what's important to note is Portal to the Paranormal, the group that we were with, they actually said that they've tried to put the spirit balls on the stairwell and it's never gone off. What they've always done is put them in a kind of like a triangle on the stairwell, on the tree, one tree on one side and another tree on the other side. And the spirit ball always goes off by the trees, but never goes off in the stairwell. So this was actually pretty amazing as well. So let me just start this. Let me know if you guys can hear it. Everything's good. Okay, let me ask you a question. Can you hear it? Are you buried?
Yeah.
Light it up if you are.
K2 just went off. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I heard a step behind towards the back of the mausoleum.
So you're buried here. Light up the ball. Did somebody just go ooh? I just heard a woo.
That's pretty awesome.
Can you light up the thing at the top of the step?
Do you like us unraveling your story?
What was the man's name that was buried here again?
Lawrence Shaw's story, and she's Emmeline.
Lawrence was his first name?
Lawrence.
Yeah. If your name's Lawrence, light it up.
K2 went off.
If your name's Lawrence, light it up again.
Wow.
What was her name again? Sorry?
Emmeline.
Emmeline?
Emmeline? Emmeline.
Emily? Okay, can you stop it? Is there an Emily here? Emmeline?
Yeah.
Is there an Emmeline here?
Wow.
Thank you. Is Emmeline buried here? Lawrence, are you buried here? Is it true that you were buried somewhere else and you came here to get buried here?
Yeah.
Are you two together?
Oh.
Wow.
Oh.
That was really good.
That's
Immediate
really good.
response.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
Right. It's kind of romantic, isn't it?
Right.
That's incredible.
Everlasting love.
That was incredible.
That's so sweet.
And the K2's going off as well, man.
Oh, it's made me feel
I-
lucky.
I absolutely love that video.
That
See,
is
you can't dispute that, can you?
It was other things that happened. I actually gone through a little bit of the video. We did capture some EVPs on the microphone as well, and the whole segment there is just validating the story of them two being together. And the response when I asked the question of "Are you two together?" it was an immediate response. And what I find fascinating and what I said at the beginning was they've never had the spirit balls go off on the stairs before. And it was just amazing. And I will let people know when the video does come out, and I'm hopefully, and Lex will have it too. And I'm going to tell people now, I did catch part of an apparition going along the stairwell towards the ball and the K2 and the REM pod. So it's pretty amazing on what happened to this place, and for that mausoleum just to sit there empty and nobody's inside and they did nothing with it is what I find fascinating as well. So it's just and there's Nando. Nando is part of Portal to the Paranormal. That was there with us that night, and this whole town was just amazing.
I think the strangest thing was it was ridiculous. Like when you go to a haunted place, you feel that it's haunted. It might be a good haunting, might be a bad one, but you know it's there. This graveyard, like the graveyard and mausoleum, it just didn't feel like anything. It was peaceful. It was so quiet. And it was just weird. I remember when we got there, I personally didn't think we were going to get anything. I was like, it's just a mausoleum. Me and Brian have our own feelings on graveyards anyway. And I was like, I'm not sure we're going to get anything. And that despite everything we did get that night, whether it be the weird lights that we saw, that I think we've caught them on camera, the apparition, Brian jumping headfirst down a hill, whatever it was. I was just true story. I'm just hoping that I never thought like that one segment. We could have had a shit tour. That one segment would have made it worth it. The whole tour was great, but for that investigation alone, that 1 2 minute and 24 seconds that we just showed you, perfectly encapsulates why we do this job.
Yeah,
it's not to find demons. It's not to find maybe to find answers, but what it is to see proof that there's something more. And we've just seen there that this man and wife were separated for 30 years when he died, brought back together, and they both hang out there together. And the beauty of that is why I do this job.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So I'll go to the next clip. I am going to do the Victorian Chapel. Now, go for it, Lex.
Victorian chap. So this is the voice.
This is the part where we, when we first started investigating, we captured the names.
Yep, cool.
Of
So
you
the
and
chapel was called. Yeah, so it's Victorian Chapel. What's her face? The famous lady. What's her name that used to go there?
Florence Nightingale.
Florence Nightingale used to go there. So it's a chapel, and then there's a war memorial graveyard around the side. She used to go there. She didn't like it there. She said that the hospital was built wrong. Like the wards are in the wrong place for the sun to hit the windows and stuff like that. So it's a weird history.
Yeah.
But we decided to go around. While I did a walk around, I heard noises by a door, and then Bryan did too. So we decided to go back and do an EVP test there in a spirit box. And Bryan does this really nice thing, and I think everyone should do it. I know that we all do it to a degree, but not like Bryan does. And that's the introductions of everybody. It's very important for Bryan to introduce us, and I think it's great. And what you're about to see is why you should introduce yourself.
Exactly why. Okay, guys, here we go. So I have this device in my hands, and what you can do is you can speak into it. We'll be able to hear you. You can tell us anything you want. My name is Bryan. This is Lex. It said Bryan. Was that Bryan it just said? No, I'm just gonna go back here for a minute. It actually said Lex. You can tell us anything you want. My name is Bryan. This is Lex. It said Bryan. Was that Bryan it just said?
I thought it said Paraflixx.
Did you say Bryan? Did we hear you correctly? Can you tell me your name, please? Let me finish introducing you to everyone. There's Nando. There's Rosie.
Nando! That's Nando.
Introducing you to
Yeah,
everyone. There's Nando. There's Rosie.
Nando!
Oh, that was cool.
Like of all the names to get out of it, to get Nando
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
is special. It's
Yeah.
that, like, say my name was cool enough, but to hear Nando's name come through straight away.
Yep.
Introductions are vital, man. They will introduce themselves to you.
Yeah,
Oh,
and that's why I do it. I've always done it from the beginning. I've always introduced myself. I've introduced anybody that's around me. I think it's just important. I think it's just a sign of respect. And I think that's why a lot of times I get the captures that I do, because I'm giving out that trust that they can trust me. And that's why I introduce myself. And I think it's important, as Lex said.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So this one is pretty cool too. This is Sherwood Forest. Lex asks a particular question, and the response we get is incredible. And I don't think we really need to get in what Sherwood Forest is about. I think everybody basically knows.
If just 2 words, if you don't know what the forest is, Robin Hood.
Yeah. So
Not me, by the way.
actually, it's funny. It's funny. Earlier in the evening, when we first got there, we were standing around this massive tree that's about 1,000 years old, or it's over 1,000 years
Over
old.
1,000, yeah.
Yeah, it's just an incredible. I put some pictures out on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. It's just, to be perfectly honest, the pictures don't do it any justice, because this tree is massive. So we got some really, really good hits on the SB7 around the tree, which we thought were very, very intriguing. But we get to a certain part of the forest, and I'll let you continue that, Lex.
So I was told all the history about where we were going. I'm echoing, sorry. There was so it's split into multiple parts. We had the Sherwood Forest Robin Hood bit, and then further down there was a apparent Viking settlement. So this is why I wanted to change the direction of the discourse to the Viking side.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Are you hiding from us? Are you hiding from us?
Are you an outlaw? Are you a part of the Viking settlement camps that were here?
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Of course. Yeah.
Wow, that
Are
was
you a part
clear.
of the Viking settlement camps that were here?
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Of course. Yeah.
That was so good. Thank you.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing itself, and we actually had quite a few things happen that night around the tree, and then when we got to there, I actually felt at one point when we were going to the next going away from the tree that we were actually walking down the path. I actually felt like there was a woman walking behind us, and that was actually validated while we were there. In that part where Lex captured it. I didn't show it obviously, but we actually validated the woman was actually following us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty awesome. But this last clip that we're gonna show.
Just before that, hang on 1 second. Someone's knocking
Yeah.
on my door. Give me a sec. Everyone enjoy this while I'll be right back.
So this last part, this last video that I'm going to show, I'll get to Lex more into the history of the place. But when I walked into this place, when we got there, we drove past it. And I was going, oh, we're not going to get anything here tonight. And we're not going to experience anything or anything like that because it was a small little tea shop. It's called the 194 Teas Tea Room.
Yeah.
And have you heard of it, Robin?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah, is it Haven't?
It is in Havant, yes.
Yeah.
And just to let you know, in that video as well that we just showed at Sherwood Forest, that is Ralph and Cheryl from GSI.
Right.
Ghost Sightings Investigators. That's who they were. They took us to the Sherwood Forest. Anyway, so we got to this place. As soon as I walked in, I felt a child, I felt a woman, and I felt a man in the place right away.
Yeah.
And which was validated later on in the video. But for this particular moment, we had the teddy bear, we had the REM pod, we had the spirit balls. I had my phone going, and now I want everybody to know anytime I use my phone, it's always in airplane mode. But I was doing voice recording, okay, just to see if I was capturing anything. And by the way, I did capture some EVPs because I've heard it. But there was a particular moment where we were asking a lot of things about the World War I and World War II. And there was a question asked a little before what actually happened. And now keeping in mind, again, the REM pod, the K2, the spirit balls, and there was a teddy bear that's like a REM pod. And this is what happens.
Okay, hold on, let me put it up.
Yeah, just let me. Yeah, okay.
I think, Brian, didn't you go live when you were there?
We did go live when we go here.
Yeah, I think I remember watching some of it as well.
Yeah. So let me just make sure. Okay, you ready?
Ready.
Okay, here we go. So you can actually see the K2. You can actually see the K2 start going off.
We just heard a large thumping upstairs.
So we heard knocking in here, like very faint knocking.
K2's going off now in here.
What was that?
What was lit up then? Just turned off.
The phone.
Fine.
Oh wow!
Look at that. Oh, Catballs.
Okay.
Oh my
And the
god.
foot's going
Okay.
on as well.
All of it's going on.
Got REM pod and the balls.
Wow.
That's
I mean, it's
fantastic.
cool.
That was.
Thank you.
Catballs.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
look at that. Oh. Catballs.
Okay.
Oh my
And the
god.
foot's going
Okay.
on as well. All of
It's
it's going on.
Got
dude,
REM pod
it
and
was
the balls.
right as you walk over and touch the phone.
That's fantastic. That was.
Was
Thank
that you
you.
over here on the
Thank you
right?
for touching it.
What's that? Sorry.
Was that you right there walking over that was
Yeah,
the
that
touch-
was me walking over to
Yeah.
the phone just to make sure the recording was still going.
Oh no,
And
I love how you were walking towards it and it went off and then you like jump back and like step back. That was great.
yeah,
Like-
yeah.
Like I was on the adjacent side, so I'm directly filming the table from the left, and it's just weird to see you see the same thing where Brian jumps back, but the fact that we had all the lights off except for like these little lanterns around the room, so the whole room just exploded in these red and blues. It was crazy.
Oh wow.
And you know
That's awesome.
what's really cool about that as well, I believe it was Sarah, Rosie, and Joanna that were in the other room doing something with I think they were doing something with the Ouija board, were they not?
Yeah,
And the K2 was going crazy when all the lights started going off in the REM pod. The K2 was going crazy with them as well, and everything just lit up like it was a Christmas tree. And it was just an amazing moment. And I will say, with all the locations that we were at, that one surprised me the most, and probably was one of the best investigations that we had, because we captured the man, we captured the woman, we captured the little kid that was there, and everything was validated on what I felt. And
like,
it,
have you
it was
guys
really cool?
Have you two heard of the glass and marble?
No, I
No.
haven't.
So this is a test. We did it here that I've never done. Brian hadn't done yet, but Portal to the Paranormal do it, and I've actually got mine up there. They gave me a glass and a marble. Brian's got one as well. And the idea is so what they use is really cool. They use these marbles that you shine a UV light on it that lights the ball up green, so you can see it in the dark. So
Okay.
they put it under a glass on a table, make sure it's flat. You put it in the center of the glass, and you basically, the same way like you would in any test, you call out and you ask them to move the ball, which is now underneath a glass, so we can't touch it. So we've all got our fingers on top of it, and we ask it to push the marble to who it'd like to speak to, and without any movement, the marble shoots to the other side of the glass and points towards Sarah. So that was the first one.
So-
And for anyone who think like everyone like, yeah, but what if the gravity was off? I was like, yeah, but we tested it. It's been sat there in the middle of the glass the entire time, and then it moved over. And then there's another weird bit which I've got on my camera, and I can't wait to put in the video. Is when we're asking them to turn the ball without pushing it, you can see the marble underneath is doing this,
Spinning in one place.
spinning in one place.
Awesome.
Wow.
So it's a test that if you have never done it before, I recommend just doing it once or twice just to have a go, because when you see the result you see is awesome. Like I'm skeptical of it the same way I was with Ouija boards, the same way I am with table tipping. Skeptical of every test really until I've done it. And this one was just cool. I went because you physically see the marble because it's lit up. You can see it turning by itself, and that was a really cool. So that Portal to the Paranormal did wonders for us on this tour. They took us to some of the best places I've ever been to, but also they introduced us to some new techniques.
And
it was cool.
it was cool. And there was one thing they did that I thought that I had never thought of, and it was just so simple. There was actually, where we were upstairs in the attic area, there was a table and we were doing the glass. There was a box there. There was a box and it had a coffee maker inside the box or something like that. They actually took one of the spirit balls and put it into the box, and the thing was lighting up.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody was touching it.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
it was just really, really super cool. The whole time we were up there, the K2 was going off, the spirit balls were going off. I captured some EVPs on the microphone camera, which was amazing. I captured some EVPs on the voice recorder. So I again, guys, like I said earlier, when I first got to this place, I was expecting nothing. And then as soon as I walked in and I went, holy crap, there's a boy, there's a man, and there's a woman here. And that, again, that was validated. And that everything was happening in this place. It was just crazy, and it's definitely a recommendation if you're out in the UK area. You definitely want to go to 194T's Tea Room. It's an amazing place, and I believe Portal to the Paranormal just had an event there last weekend.
They did a private event for themselves. Yeah. Wasn't a public event, but they did go back there.
Yeah. So.
I love to do those
and to answer Maria Tobin's question, I am considered a sensitive. She asked a question, Brian, are you an empath, sensitive, or a touch now? I'm actually sensitive.
So, Brian, can I just ask you as well? I was watching last week a couple of things on the YouTube channel, and there's something that I came across that really got to me, right? And it's when you did is it the lock lift?
Yep. Yeah, lift locks. The lift locks.
The lift locks. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for a start, where was that?
It's right outside of. Well, it's probably about an hour and a half drive from Toronto.
Right. So what I'm interested in is the medium Patty that you had with you.
Yes.
So who is she?
Patty is somebody I met. How did I meet Patty? I think I met Patty through Facebook, and she lives in the other direction of Toronto. She lives about an hour and a half, 2 hours from me. It was somebody that we just got talking. She really liked my videos, and she was really interested in coming out with me and trying some stuff. She's been doing that for about 30 years. And we did it's funny because we did the UK tour. I did a little bit of a tour here outside of Toronto. We did about 6 locations, and we just traveled. The furthest place we went to was just outside of Ottawa, and we did an abandoned sawmill, which, by the way, scared the crap out of me. But Patty's been doing mediumship for about 30 years. She does a lot of readings for people, and she's an interesting person, to say the least.
Yeah. What I found fascinating was when I put the video on, and it started off with you and her outside, and you were talking about the place, and straight away something struck me that she would be good to work with. I don't know why, but something was like, I can't even explain really, but it's like, I felt by watching it and by looking at it, I thought this lady's good. This lady, she's well tuned in, she's good, she's in, and all of a sudden she says, and I'm getting either British or Irish symbols, and I thought, how weird is that?
And which is funny because later on, after we finished the investigation, we did find the symbol, and it was Scottish symbol, and she was right. And it had something to do with see, in that particular episode, we found out that there was a boy that was killed there, and he was about 15 or 16 years old. The symbol that she saw was from the school that he went to.
Wow.
Right.
Which was really, really interesting. But Patty really amazed me on one investigation we did at a park. And a homeless man was killed in this park. And of course, I didn't tell Patty anything about the park, but she nailed it on the whole thing. She got it spot on. And 2 men killed this homeless man, and she was dead on. What's really weird is because during the video, I don't know if I put it in the video or not, but because when the man was, it's sad. The man was killed by two guys. He was a very popular homeless man. Those small little towns, and everybody knows that one person in the town.
Yeah.
Well, everybody knew this homeless man. Well, when he disappeared, and they went searching for him, and they found him in the park. What's really sad about all of that is the search party that went out searching for him, 2 of the men that killed the homeless man was in the search party.
Oh,
Wow.
right.
So and she knew that. And then what's even, and it's terrible to say this, but when they found him, unfortunately, he had false teeth. So by the bathroom, his false teeth were laying. So they found the false teeth first, and then they found his body about 50 yards away. And she knew that. She goes, something about something over here and something over here. I don't know if I put it in the video or not, but she said something, I don't know, I can't figure it out. Something was over here, they found something, and then they found something over here. And she couldn't figure out what it was, but that's what it was. His false teeth were over here and his body was laying over here. And
Wow.
it was really weird. Patty's an interesting character. Patty is like a lot like Lex, no filter. She likes to use the F word a lot. And there have been times where I had to tell Patty, Patty, I love what you do, but you got to calm down on the F words. So, because I got to edit that out. And, but no, Patty was great. Patty's definitely, Patty's one of those people where either she loves you or she hates you.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And, but she was great. People don't believe this when I tell them this. She's actually owns her own construction company. And she renovates bathrooms and houses and stuff like that. Yeah. With her son. So you would never expect a woman that's about 5'1", 5'2", that does construction.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but no, Patty was
That's
great.
so-
No, Patty, it was an experience. It was definitely an experience. It's something I wanted to try for a season, to have a medium, and it was fun. It was fun while it lasted, for sure. Yeah.
I enjoyed the one with the old church because that looks pretty haunted as well.
The church that I go to,
Yeah.
when Lex gets over here to Canada, that's the first place I'm taking him to, because I've done so much research on this place. I cannot figure out why it's haunted. And I capture so much in this church all the time. EVPs, galore, SB7 responses. It's just amazing. And I'm just waiting for the day when I do go in there that I'm going to capture an actual apparition, because I know it's going to happen. And
I think it was phenomenal with the SB7 though, when you went to the piano and you said, "Is this going to wind you up? I'm going to play this." And as you put your hand over it, said, "Don't touch that."
Yeah. And the same thing happened with Jay too. We had a book thrown at us in a video, and Jay is my son's friend, and he wanted to check out the church because he saw the video, and he went there. And I don't know what it is with Jay, but Jay's a ghost magnet. They come to him like no tomorrow. Like, as soon as he's in a place, they're boom, boom, boom. They want to talk to him. And but that church is, and you know what the funny thing is? That church was just a find. It was just a find. It's something we just stumbled upon. And it's been an amazing, amazing place to investigate. I can't wait till Lex gets out here.
Double D.
He's going to enjoy the church. Unfortunately, it's full of mold, but and they're not going to tear it down because it's an historical site, so they can't tear it down. So it's going to be there for a long time. Now, if they ever sell the property, Jesus, I would love to buy that and make that a spot where people can go to investigate, because it's amazing. It's an amazing.
Is it near you then? Yeah.
It's about a 35-minute drive from me.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great place. Me and you were talking about it, I believe, before. Like last night, the other night. But I would love to check that out, because
the piano, it's funny because the
thing that was the reason so far of why you think it was haunted.
Say again, sorry, I didn't. You cut out there.
I said out of all of the research you've done, you can't find a reason why you think it's haunted.
No. Other than the church has been there since 1875. Yeah, it's been there since 1875, and somewhere in that ballpark. And it closed, I believe, in 2007. So
Wow.
it's been around for a long time. But there was one time where I went in there, and I've always wanted to capture this. And I've been there like 4 or 5 times. I put the camera on top of the piano because there's the piano in there. And I was hoping that I was going to catch the piano being played. Well, one night we left the room. I let the camera go, and you hear one note being played on the piano. And it's incredible place. Lex is going to love it. I know Lex is going to love it because it's dark, it's creepy, and it's gross.
And there's to sit in.
Yeah, but the place is incredible. But one place that I plan to take Lex when he gets out here is Blue Ghost Tunnel and Streaming Tunnel. And Blue Ghost Tunnel being on the top 10 list here in Canada. And it doesn't matter when you go, what time of day, whenever. As soon as you walk in there, they tell you to get out right away. And you can hear it with your own ears. You don't need a voice recorder. That's creepy, and you hear it. Like it's wild.
Sounds like my kind of place.
It's wild. Like the last time I went in there was last November, and as soon as we walked in, well, it's funny because there was 2 ways to get down to this tunnel. So everybody was going down this way. I went down the shorter way, and I got there. I walked in the tunnel. First thing I said was hello, and I got a hello back like 4 seconds later. And I ran out of that tunnel, and I said, I am not going in that fucking tunnel. I ended up going back in, but as soon as we walked in, everybody heard it. Everybody heard it. It said, get out. And it echoes through the tunnel. So as soon as it says something at the other end of the tunnel, it echoes through and you can hear it right away. And it's really, really super cool. Blue Ghost Tunnel is one of my favorite spots other than the church.
That's awesome.
We need to get you to 30 East Drive over here.
Yeah, I know.
What's 30 East Drive?
30 East Drive. It's one of the most haunted places in Britain. Have you been, Lex?
I know. I've not been, but I am going. I remember Portals of the Paranormal mentioned it to me once as well.
Why didn't we go?
Because it wasn't on the map.
Oh, okay.
It's called the Black Monk House. I tell you one thing, that place is absolutely phenomenal. The stuff that goes on in there. Now, I turned up. The lady next door looks after the house because nobody lives in it because nobody will live in it. The lady next door looks after it, and I turned up out of the blue one day, and she let me in. Julie and my son Dylan sat in the car outside because they wouldn't go near it. And she kept saying to me, don't you be getting in there. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm getting in. So I turns up and I says, I've came the whole way from Blackpool. I says, I just want to say, yeah, she says, come on in and they'll show you. So she took me in. We went upstairs in it and she says to me, this room in here, it gets really, really bad. And there's all these marks in the ceiling. And she says that when she comes in the mornings, the beds are turned upside down and everything. Well, we went into the room and I was standing beside her, the only 2 people in the house, because she didn't even know I was coming. And all of a sudden there was marbles, coins, everything coming out of the wall towards missing my head and hitting the wall behind me.
Oh, wow.
Honestly, you close the door, the bedroom door, which was a little girl's room. You hear it locked tight, so when you push it, it won't open. So you've got to put the handle down to open it and go in. So you close it tight, you knock a door and say, come on, open the door for me. And the door just swings open and the handle doesn't move.
Yeah. I'm sure there could have been so many more places that we could have gone to in the UK. Me, Lex, and the rest of the groups like Portal to the Paranormal and GSI and the Patrol, we all had a great time. And I think we did pretty good. We hit 11 spots over 14 days and over 2,000 miles of driving. And it was just an incredible time. And what I loved about most, and I've said this before on other shows, what I loved the most about all of it is that I got to be with some great people that I learned a lot from, that have become really, really super good friends. And that's what's important to me. And the investigations are great. The the finding EVPs and all that's great, but meeting those people was amazing.
Well, next time you're over, let me know, and we'll.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, no,
for sure, Rob.
that is the best part about the paranormal, you know, when you get with the
Yeah.
right people. So I definitely
agree.
agree.
I agree.
So
I should turn off the stop sharing, eh? There we go.
Oh, one thing I wanted to ask you guys before we end real quick, because I didn't get to ask you in the beginning, but what since you wouldn't tell me earlier, how did you and Lex meet?
I'll
Since
tell.
he's
I'll
all the way
let.
in UK. You're all the way
Yeah, you get Lex can tell that story.
Yeah, let's hear the story, because I looked like an idiot before, not realizing that Lex with the accent, you know.
So technically, there's like two stories. There's the one where we met, and then there's the one that we got to know each other. So there's like two. The one where we officially met was actually just before I released my first video. Like when I filmed it, I had like pre-upload nerves, and I was really like, to put it bluntly, I was shitting myself. I was like, I don't know if I want to put this online. It's not going to be really well received. I don't know how it's going to go down. And I remember I was just putting stuff on Twitter about it, and I followed Bryan on Twitter early when I was looking for these real paranormal groups. Like I said, I spent 9 years researching, so I knew who I was going to follow, and so I was going through and I was following all these accounts. And thankfully, Huntaphobia was one of them. So I followed Bryan, he followed me back, and I got a DM like the day I was uploading from Bryan, who was asking me if I was nervous. To which I said, I was like, honestly, yeah, I have no idea how it's going to go down. And Bryan was like, look, it's going to be a good video. Like, I was nervous when I did my first one, but the first one's the hardest one. Like, I'm sure, regardless if you've got anything or not, as long as you've polished the video and it looks good, it's going to be a good video. And then Bryan actually told me he was going to watch it, and was the first one to comment on it and the first one to send me a message back, and really gave me some positive feedback, and really, really pushed me into the direction that I'm in now. Was because I knew, not just on that video, he's done it to every single one of my videos when I put out an investigation. Bryan's always been very quick. Like, I put the video up, it's 45 minutes long, 45 minutes, 10 seconds later, I've got a DM or a comment, and it's like, really good video, buddy. Like, you've smashed it. So he's really been the helping hand that I needed to get a foot in the industry. But as well as he's been a really good friend to me all the way through it, and he's helped me really become confident in my own ability as an investigator and a video creator at the same time. To add to that, we really got to know each other properly, and the birth of our show was when we both were members of a group called Parachills, which we're both no longer parts of. And we just worked together through that for a little bit, so that really helped bond. And when we were coming up for an idea of what to do for the group, we decided to do the Through the Lens show, and we're like, well, let's use this platform to help grow people that no one's ever heard of. Let's bring people on so they can speak to the audience and get to know them personally and help people and start our own personal para-unity journey, really. And when Bryan was no longer part of the company, I said to the group, I was like, well, I'm keeping the show, because we decided what the show was. And as long, like, if you have an issue with it, fine, I'll change the name of the show. But we thought of the show, so we're going to keep doing it, but we will do it on our own channels, which they were happy to let us do. And then obviously, I think, what was it, 3 months ago, I think I left the company as well. So thankfully, one of the biggest things out of it was me and Bryan got to do the show.
Awesome.
Excellent.
That's
it.
You know,
It's so funny. I was actually just going to I was just gonna ask you about Through the Lens. And I was gonna ask you about the whole history, but you literally gave me nowhere to go. So, I can't really rebuttal that. You told me everything. But no,
I can tell you one
for
more.
questions now, aren't you?
I can tell you one more thing, and it's the aim for the future of Through the Lens, because Bryan knows this and I know this. We are going to be, will be, and are the world's #1 paranormal podcast.
Hey,
and I say that while I'm on your podcast.
Listen. You heard it first, everybody. Only on Talking with the Source. Lex just made the prediction. #1 paranormal podcast. Through the
As long
lens
as
with
we can be number 2, then that's fine.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't even care
I'm
about
happy
that.
for it, but you have to
Everyone
discuss
go
it
and
with
check
the other
out-
ones.
Yeah. All our viewers, go check out Through the Lens with Bryan and Lex if you haven't already. You can check them out on Paraflixx.
Absolutely.
Check out everything they're doing. But guys, I mean, thank you so much for coming on. I mean, you guys, I want you guys to come on again because there's gonna be
Thank
so
you.
much I want to obviously talk to you about. But I think people may get sick of me talking for 4 hours, so I think I'll end it.
Thanks for
I've been
having
good.
us.
I kept my mouth shut. I'm doing good this time, you know. But
No, you
still.
were great. You were
Yeah,
great.
thanks.
You were
Behaving
both
himself.
great. You
Yeah,
both were
behaving
great. And I appreciate you having us on.
Not a problem.
Me, I'm not going to speak for Lex, but I'm going to.
I'm absolutely disgusted that I've wasted my time on this thing. You know, here's a list of all the things I'd rather do. Oh, nothing. It's blank.
love
There's
it.
nothing on it. Don't
Well,
worry. I've had a really good
Hey,
time.
listen. I totally ruined it within the first 5 minutes, and I'm like, "Oh, you're from the UK?" I could go
Oh,
be
you
an idiot.
It was just so good. You were so
Talking to
confidently
you with
asked
the
me.
accents. I talk to Robin and doing all day long. I love it.
It was just the confidence of which you asked me how my trip to the UK was. It was just the confidence was good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I had to have
What it really
confidence,
was, Lex,
confidence.
what you should
I
have said
I
was,
was like, I'm gonna look like such an idiot when I say this, but.
what
seriously, though,
Lex should have
thanks, man,
said
for the
was,
laugh.
so AJ, when did you move to the US then?
Yeah.
I could have played it off. I could have pretended I was from anywhere else. Everyone at work, people at work think I'm from Australia, which is really weird. I
Yeah.
don't know where they're getting that from.
You know what's
That's
so
funny.
funny? I didn't want to say it, but I swear to God, at first I thought the accent was a little Australian, so I'm like, I don't know. Wait a minute, but he kind of sounds a little like how Robin. So I don't know, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but
Well, I
was
really appreciate you inviting me on, and it's been a great time. And
Honestly,
you know,
it's been a
guys,
pleasure.
I support you.
And I'm glad we got to
support
share
you
those
guys.
clips.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got to share those clips, and I'm
Yeah.
glad that you get to show that to your audience because it has been really fun being on here. And I'm speak on behalf of myself. I'm more than happy to come back on here again in the future. Hopefully, Bryan is too.
Yeah,
But,
for sure.
Excellent.
I would love to have you on, man. I definitely will be talking to you guys and have you guys scheduled to come on again because there's a lot that I obviously want to share. I want to also share a lot of your stuff next time, Lex. But please, if you guys could, tell our viewers where they could check you guys out, personal stuff and stuff you guys do together with your podcast. If you guys want to say it separately or together, whatever.
You can also give him your address and bank details if you want.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not? I'll go first. You can find, I think the biggest thing for me is people can see and where my name is. Parapost Network is my baby. You can download it through iOS or Android. It is a community of paranormal investigators, ufologists, supernatural enthusiasts, cryptics, and all that stuff. So you can download that through there. You can also find us on Facebook, Parapost Network Facebook page. If you have a podcast or if you do live investigations, come on over and we'll put you up on that page. You can also find me on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok under Huntaphobia, and I'm also on Paraflixx because I'm a content producer on Paraflixx as well.
Lovely. And as for me, because I'm small time, you can find everything on me with this name. Where is it there? This name on YouTube and on Facebook. There's a Facebook page that I've started for that. You can also go and follow us on Through the Lens with Bryan and Lex on YouTube to catch up on every episode we've done. We've done up to 60 episodes now. We've done it for over a year. We get a guest on all the time. So definitely go check those out if you want to find some new groups and some reliable groups to watch and do that. That's what that's for. And if you have a paranormal group or a paranormal podcast and you would like to get a platform to help boost you, feel free to contact myself or contact Bryan. We will talk to you and we will get you on our show where you can introduce yourself to this community properly, and we'll help give you a boost if we can. And don't feel shy to ever contact me and Bryan about anything. We're happy to answer questions all the time, and we're happy to view. If you have a video you want to send us, or you're just starting out and you want someone to watch it and give you some feedback, me and Bryan are happy to watch those videos, man. So check us out on there, and obviously Lex Paranormal YT on Twitter. I tweet a lot of stupid stuff, It's also the same name on TikTok for stupid stuff. So feel free to follow me on there too. Thank you very much.
Absolutely love
Excellent.
it. Thank you guys. It's been an honor to have you guys on. I absolutely love
Oh,
it.
man.
And
Absolutely
I love
has,
your
yeah.
show, guys. I love your show, guys. Thank
thanks,
you
man.
for having us.
Thank you.
I feel
I
the
just
same
think-
way about you guys.
I just thank you guys for touching on what we started with, which was completely totally random out of nowhere. Thanks to Robin. But on the editing side and about your journey, Lex, about being being nervous about putting that first video out, and I think that's really important to people who are really interested in this work. I believe get into it, but have good intent, like you said. Don't do the faking stuff because obviously it's totally disrespectful to everything in this field that it stands for. But I think you guys touched on a lot of awesome stuff. So I just want to say thank you guys again, and we will definitely be having you guys on. So,
Definitely. Thank you very much.
And the
Thanks,
fact
guys.
that I am actually totally random.
yeah, exactly. But,
Thanks,
all right,
guys.
guys. Thank you so much, man. I'll talk to you guys soon.
No problem. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Bye.
See you later.
Yeah, man. So, I'm so super pumped. I was so happy we got to see that never before clips, man. That Brian, I actually literally was talking to him last night, and I'm like, "Oh man, can we maybe see some clips?" And he's like, "Oh, I got the perfect thing." So those are never before seen clips that will be on the new seasons of Huntaphobia on Paraflixx. Also, like I said, head over to Parapost Network Central Facebook page. For amazing paranormal podcasts. If you have a podcast like Brian and Lex said, or you do live investigations, reach out to them. They can help put you on the page, get you started with everything. But what'd you think, man? Tell me. What
Oh
was
yeah,
what's your
yeah,
opinion?
yeah. It was amazing. Yeah, good to have him
Absolutely.
on.
Oh man, and what we talked about, like, it's so funny because that's not the way that I thought the conversation was gonna start and go, but you threw me a curveball and I loved it because it ended up
Well,
perfect.
yeah, but what it was, right? It was actually because we always start off with the same thing, and we've talked about this when you and me have a one-to-one chat. We
You're
always
right.
start off with the same questions, and it makes it sound like the podcast is scripted, and it's not. And that just proves it because I thought to myself, I'm going to start
Yeah.
with something completely different.
Yeah, and you totally got me. You totally twisted it up. I was
It,
trying to.
it ain't hard, AJ. It ain't hard to get you.
No, you're right. It's not. No, you're right. You're right.
Just check them
Well,
out in Hartford, Connecticut, on the street corners on a Friday and Saturday night.
oh my God, only you, my friend. Well, and anyway, thank you to the thank you to the viewers that have watched this. We really appreciate you. Shout out again to our sponsors of FCD Ghost Boxes. Matt Barron, thank you so much, my friend. Amazing show, guys. You guys did it great, and love Bryan and Lex. Really appreciate you. We're gonna be pulling Matt on soon too. So he doesn't know that yet, but he just found it out. But anyway, thank you to the viewers, and go ahead, Robin.
Coming up this week, sorry AJ, before you go, coming up this week, we have Jared Tracy on Saturday from Pasadena Paranormal on the podcast, and then the following week we have Matthew Sorgay on a Friday, and then the following week after that, there we have Mr. and Mrs. AAP.
There you go. You heard it first.
That's the next three for now.
Yeah, we unfortunately haven't been able. I'd be honored. Matt just goes, "What, Leffellow? I thought you want views about him coming on." Joking. I'd be honored. Well, thanks, Matt. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, Matt.
Thank you for announcing that. The reason why it's not posted in the event page on the Facebook is because Facebook has, for some reason, restricted our event thing, which is really stupid. It's been like that for the past month, but yet nobody knows at Facebook why. And nobody ever gets back to you on Facebook. So you know how that works. But we will be announcing.
We'll get it drawn up on the Facebook page, though. We'll get a list of dates and who's coming on the Facebook page.
Exactly, and we'll release it there as well. But thank you guys for everyone who's watching. This has been Talking with the Source, and we will see you Friday.
See you later. Saturday.